Today, I'm going to be talking to Rob and Phil. If you're a SaaS or tech founder, this interview is for you. We're going to be breaking down exactly how both Phil and Rob are scaling two SaaS companies using cold calendar invites, targeting completely different avatars. So let's dive into the video. Today, Phil, Rob, walk us through exactly where you were at before working with QS. Like, what had happened in your business that made you open to a system like this?
So ideally, we are doing a lot of outbound already, and we're booking meetings, but the sales cycle and like the process was a lot longer because we're talking to more people that didn't really understand. When you do cold outbound, right, like they don't understand your whole model yet, and they don't know you yet, and they might not even be ready to buy. But if you book them on a call, we have to explain to them on call, so sales cycle ends up becoming longer with a strategy like that. Obviously, when we heard about the webinar strategy, is something that's very enticing, because now we could present one-to-many, we could communicate what we do, how we serve, and the right people book the call after seeing the use cases, everything that we actually can provide, and the support that our solutions do for them. And so when we actually get on an appointment, it's already hot. And we also even tell people, put your decision makers on the call. They bring their marketing director on the call. They bring the other people, that they have as far as decision makers are involved on there. So we could actually be able to have a very, very robust conversation without having to, which basically helps us shorten the sales cycle in that process.
So tell me a little bit about what was happening before. So on the sales calls before running webinars, was it just taking too much time? They didn't know anything about you guys? Was it just too draining? Like, what was going on?
Yeah, it's I would say the feeling is draining, right? Because you're on more appointments, and they were just interested, and they weren't really interested. They were just wanting to talk, right? Of course, if you email somebody enough, they'll probably get on a call with you, right? And obviously they were interested, but they didn't understand the full product, like what it could do and all of that. So it was basically draining, right? I'd be on multiple sales calls with a lot of the wrong people sometimes. And it's not saying that it's the wrong ICP, it's just that they didn't have like maybe a real need for what we had. So we would just spend a lot more time talking to people that didn't have a real big interest.
And then, so you found out about us, how exactly?
Go ahead, Rob. Rob's the one who hopped on the webinar.
Yeah, so I went on the webinar, and I think it was Alex was the guy doing the webinar. And then he was talking about, oh, well, don't do this, it doesn't work. I'm like, oh crap, we're doing that. All right, don't do this, it doesn't work. And I'm like, yeah, we tried that, and yeah, it doesn't work. And so like they kind of knew what didn't work. And I was like, well, if they know what doesn't work, they probably know what works. And then after that, I just thought it was interesting. So I sat to Phil, and I knew it was gonna be expensive, but I was still willing to like listen. And it turns out that it's actually a lot of work, and you do need a lot of guidance to do these things, and doing it on your own is really tough. And so then we got on a sales call, and the way he was describing the total addressable market, and where there's 5% of people that are willing to buy right now. If you're not able to reach all of those people, then you're missing out on a big chunk, because when you send out messages, you're sending out to the entire total addressable market of all the interested buyers. But then if you're getting 5% of that, if you're not sending to literally everyone, they're not capturing the market. So go to market is you're just hindered that way. But I want to double down on kind of what Phil was saying. What was happening is that we'd bring people into a call. Let's say that we did SMS. They come into the call. They don't even understand the product. They've never heard it. They've never seen it. They don't know anything. And they probably barely even went to the website. Then we would give them a link to a demo, and they would take the demo on the call. And it would be very unwieldy, because we have to go on mute. They would
unwieldy
listen to the call. Unwieldy, it's kind of like uncontrollable. Like, so they would do the demo, they click on it, and then be like, do I do this? Do I do that? And at the same time, they're talking to us or talking to the agent, and it was going back and forth, because the demo is interactive. So it's hard to
sounds like a shit show.
It's a good demo, but it's good to do the demo on your own time before the call.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get them to do that demo.
Too much to clarify.
Yeah, and then by the time it's like, they know who we are, they know our identities, basically, me and Phil, and what we do. Then they do the demo. Then like the call is kind of over, and it's kind of like, then we have to keep on booking another one. Yeah, just a lot of calls. And then every call is, and this is selling to HR, which is like, it's a nightmare. It's like, there's so much communication, there's so much delay, that having the education first with Phil and him being presented as an authority on the subject at the same time is really, really important.
Interesting. And so you said something where it was a lot of work. As you were talking to our team, what were some of the objections that came up during the process?
Yeah, so one of them was, we don't want to be a guinea pig. This seems really new and innovative. And that's a problem because we don't really know what we're buying. So basically lack of education. But really, to be honest with you, people don't tell you their real objections. They just set up another call, because we do BAM FAM, book a meeting on a meeting. Then they just don't show up to the next call because they don't know enough to know that it's going to help them. So every customer we've worked with, it really drastically reduces, if it's implemented correctly, drastically reduces their time and effort on recruiting. But for them to see that,
so there's two things there, Rob. So we can, if you don't mind holding that thought for your sales process after the fact, and the audience would be really interested in understanding what were your objections to working with us.
It's like we didn't have much objections, other than if it was, we wanted to know if this was going to be the right time for us to do it, because we already invested in a lot of other outbound strategies. I call this an outbound webinar strategy. That's what I look at this, because that's basically what it is. And so we didn't know if it was going to be the right fit for us at the moment, but we did want it, whether it was now. I think the buying cycle for us was, I think it was like a month and a half. We sat there and discussed it, Rob internally and I, to see if this is something that we wanted to do and spend the money and move and allocate some of our budgets specifically to this. And we removed some of the other stuff. So we obviously decided. It took us like a month to actually buy.
Yeah, because we're such a young company.
Because we're not, and we're bootstrapped. So, the goal is obviously, if we're gonna stop, marketing spend over here, we're gonna have to put it over here. And so after Rob and I discussed it enough times and we looked at what we want to do, we're like, we want to be able to educate people more. We want to do the webinar. It wasn't actually anything other than that. We didn't have any kind of we know webinars work. Obviously the approach itself it's just like an outbound strategy webinar, where there's going to be people who are not going to be happy, unfortunately, that they see something on their calendar. So that does exist. That is a problem that it exists, but that's with any kind of outbound there is. I
didn't really have objections. I knew that it would be every week. I was like, man, I can't wait till we can do the webinars, because we ran into another issue. But I think it was more of like, the decision was difficult because the thing we were doing was actually already working, and we had to stop that in order to do this. So we're placing a big bet. And so it was like a calculated bet. We didn't get bogged down in like decision fatigue or anything. It was more just getting the money together, because.
So was it worth it?
Yeah, I'd say it's worth it.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, and then we went to.
It's worth it. It's worth it because the appointments that you get are actually really great appointments, and that's what people want, right? We want great appointments. We don't want low level intention appointments. We want high level intention appointments.
Yeah, and then we started marketing this. We started running webinars for Rank Monster, and those are converting like really great. Like I say 25% of anyone who shows up, and it's just a different product. It's just a better.
And that's your
market.
second SaaS.
Yeah, that's our second SaaS company. We started at the same time we were doing screens. It was an internal tool, and then we started selling it to agencies. It just has a lot to do with who your ICP is. I think it'll work for pretty much any industry, but just like it was hard to sell them on, coming through SMS, probably would have been easier with Rank Monster SMS, possibly.
We have limited time too. We could still book meetings. Like we could book a lot of meetings, but we want high intent meetings, which is more valuable to us. Plus, as an example, once you have the system, you can run as many webinars, especially if you have a huge total addressable market. You could do a lot of webinars. So you could constantly fill the pipeline up if there's no problem. As long as you're doing the right segmentation and all that of the lists and the copy and changing it, you have to be very active. It's not a process, and I don't know if you want me to talk about it right now, Scott, or you want me to
Sure,
wait?
no, That's just where I was going to go with it. What did you guys do?
Yeah. I mean, the idea though is you have to be skilled in communicating your product. That's one of the biggest things that I could see. Like some of the biggest objections. I've been doing presentations for many years. And so like it comes second nature to me, but I've seen some webinars where people are very dry and they're not excited about their product. They don't say the right things on the webinar, which you guys support a lot in, the copy and then the review, and there's a lot of great things. I do them all the time. Like we're probably your least difficult customer because I already do all these things myself. So I'm probably an easier customer than you would probably have with, a startup company who's never done webinars or anything like that. But yeah.
Or VSLs.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've been doing it for 10 years. So it's like, obviously like I'm seasoned in it to a point.
And what are some of the other things that you liked about the process?
You guys have the system dialed in. You guys have the answers for the questions. There's a lot of support with you guys, especially in the beginning phases, to make sure that the systems are up. What do we do when certain things arise, when certain problems happen? You're very fast at responding and coming up with solutions. So, I wouldn't say there's, other than like the usual kind of problems, like there's always going to be problems doing marketing, right? There's always some kind of problem that happens. There's no process that's perfect. That's like, oh my gosh, this is like, there's no pushback or anything on anything. Like obviously that's going to be with anything that you do. The process itself is great because I like it because you pay a flat fee to work with you guys, and then you guys we basically own a system now that we could actually produce appointments at will for one call. I mean, like to me, that's just highly valuable. That's hence why we didn't have much objections, because when we got on the sales call with you guys with the team, we already knew. I was like, this is something that we just buy once and then we own it. I mean, I did that so many times in my career, and that's how I know how to do all different types of marketing, because I buy systems from companies who have them, and then I just reproduce them, and I have them and I own them, and I can do them whenever I want. So it's like a money machine. Like if you could produce appointments at will, that means that's a valuable, like you should pay a lot of money for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but companies, they have all these, I've been selling marketing for a long time, and, companies are always skeptical. And is this right for me? The idea is if you have a business to business or business to executive offer that you could pull an ICP list from Apollo or any of the data sources, that means you could do webinars, especially if these people are looking at their calendars. So as long as you have business emails and then that you have the list for them, and then you could put them on their calendars, you could be successful in obviously generating appointments and new business.
And let's talk about the results. With this system, what have you guys been able to achieve?
Yeah, and so ideally, our pipeline is never dry. Our sales cycle are longer for our tech products because they're technology things that need to go in, but the results have been like, we get appointments from every single webinar we do, and we rerun them every single week, high intent appointments. So we consider this a very valuable, say, asset in our company.
Can we talk specifically about the last webinar? Because the last one we did for agencies for Rank Monster was really successful. I think there was about 30 people that showed up, and we had 9 booked appointments, Phil.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah. That's amazing. What about the level of it? We've talked about that before, but the level of appointments that you were getting before, what was happening on those calls versus what happens on the calls now?
Yeah, so before, let's talk about before. Before, it was just a longer sales cycle. I had to do the presentation on the product first, then whether they were interested in moving forward or not, that was obviously like a piece. So we would have to do more sales, we would have to do more calls with lower intent leads, and now we have less calls with higher intent leads.
Yeah, so it's not like it just takes longer to make the sale. Like a lot of times, if it takes longer, you don't make the sale because the first 2 calls are just trying to figure out what the hell even do, and then by then they've kind of lost interest. And it's like,
it's not that they may not lose interest, is that it might not have been a fit for that customer at the moment. And so if I do a webinar, then the people will already know if it's a fit for them, and that's why they intentionally book a call, because they really believe that this is something that could help them. You
have to know what it is first in order to know whether you want it.
Right. And versus they were interested, but when they got on, it's like it might not be the right time for them, or they wanted to just see the product, or there was just a more robust process that has to go along with it, if that makes sense.
Awesome. And so what would you tell anybody who's watching this, who's on the fence?
I mean, if you don't have a lead system and you want to sell one-to-many, you want high intent appointments, I mean, you should just buy. I don't know what else there is. Like, you need to do something, because if you're not getting high intent sales appointments, that means you need to do something different to be able to do that. And so you should just, move forward. People look at, I've always seen this like with buyers, they look at the dollar more than they look at the outcome of what they're buying. They look at like the price point as like some kind of like limiting factor, instead of looking at it as like, hey, I'm buying an asset that's going to produce me appointments. And if, you don't believe that, then I don't know, like, what they're even, it doesn't make sense to me, I don't even know how much, whatever the cost is, even if it costs you $20,000 or $30,000 to start generating to have a system that you can own, more importantly, that you could generate constant appointment flow, you should be buying systems in your company to do that. And low cost too. It's not expensive. Like, it is not expensive to run this system. It's very, very inexpensive, which is fantastic. And it will only last probably for so long. Just like a lot of outbound systems, the time would be ideally now to do it, to start, because eventually you guys are going to be selling to more and more companies. More and more companies are going to do it. And then it's going to probably get more difficult in the future.
Excellent.
Yeah, that was one of the deciding factors too, because we knew that eventually someone would move the cheese in maybe 2 years, 3 years, who knows? Maybe this will last longer, but their marketing strategies usually only work for so long before they really get, like email, for instance. Look at email. It's a disaster. You send out 100,000 emails or something and you get like...
It still works. It's just different. They still work, but it's
not as easy as it used to be. And LinkedIn used to work great when I did it back in 2020, 2021. LinkedIn started to not really work that well either, so we stopped doing that. Then we went to SMS. SMS works great, but it's pretty low intent, like where people get an SMS and it's direct response, and you get to the people quicker and get response quicker, but then they come on the call and they're like, well, what? I don't even, they don't even know what's going on. So,
well, gentlemen, thank you so much for hopping on. Appreciate you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you.
Folks, you just spent time watching this video. If you're curious whether or not this can work for your SaaS or technology business, then go ahead, click the link below. There we'll walk you through a custom strategy roadmap that references all of our existing client data from our AI brain. From there, we'll put together a custom bespoke roadmap that consultants used to charge $10,000 to $15,000 for, completely free of charge, as a gift from us to you for watching this video. So go ahead, click the link in the description, find a time, select a time, and our team will walk you through that custom bespoke roadmap. Regardless of whether or not you work with us, you'll know exactly how to connect with your ideal customer and connect with thousands, if not tens of thousands of them every week, using the same playbook that we used for Rob and Phil. So that said, I'll see you there. Cheers.